Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Holmes Studios in New York and in Denver 2 times. This is Buckets, your daily NBA betting podcast. This is your best bets episode for the Cup Championship on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 in the association. We'll give you best bets. We'll break the game down in detail with two just absolutely handsome gents that are phenomenal bettors, incredible people, and complete cowards, because for the NBA Cup final, both of them are like, I've got a prop that no sides from that. I will take care of you for sides in total. I'm Matt Moore, senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm joined by Jay Money, who has very good reasons for not taking a side. You can catch him on Twitter on his YouTube channel at JMoneyIsMoney. And Sean Little at Chicago Flow, who just cleaned up on Monday Night Football as we're recording this on Monday night. Let's talk about it, fellas. Let's get into this. The Milwaukee Bucks take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here's the lines currently. There is a -5, -105 at DraftKings on the Thunder. You can get +5, -105 at Caesars on the Bucks. Total is ticked up to 217. It's open 213.5. I am a little perplexed at the total movement on this game, because every game in Vegas so far in the NBA Cup has gone under. Raheem Palmer tipped me off on that, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I like the under at, like, not the open, but once it got to 214.5, I was like, oh, I got value on the under, and I want the trend. It's already at 217. There's a 216.5. If you do want the over, you can still get that at FanDuel as we're recording this. Money line, +175 on the Bucks at Caesars, -198. on OKC at FanDuel is your best price there. We'll go around the horn. We'll give the best bets, and we'll break down this game in detail. Let's start with Sean Little at Chicago Flow. Sean, what's your best bet for the NBA Cup final?
Dame Lillard under 22.5 points, -110 in the market as I see it tonight.
Okay. Jay Money, what's your best bet?
I mean, Chris Middleton over 8.5 points at +104.
Okay. Interesting. I'm going to go with OKC -5. The under 217, and Isaiah Hartenstein under 3.5 assists, -115 at Bet365. Those are my 3 best bets for this game. It's important. So you don't want to talk dead numbers, right? If you are new to the show, where have you been? Because we've been giving out all sorts of great, like we gave out Giannis 17-1 to win the cup. We gave out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 425 to win MVP. Jay's been on the Thunder to win the cup. We've given out all the stuff. So part of this, and Jay, I want to go to you first, is one of the reasons that you don't have a side on this game is you've already got a better price on OKC on the money line, and you don't have any reason to hedge. I'll ask you what your lean is, but also just talk about the fact that when you've got already a position that you're comfortable with and don't feel the need to hedge, why you don't want to double dip.
Yeah, well, mainly because I have them at a plus number, and then now I would have to lay points with them in this particular game. So obviously it would be different. Like, say if they end up going up against the Knicks or something, and they were somehow an underdog, that would be a lot different there. It was like, all right, I might, if they're still at plus money, I'll double dip. But in this one, if I was actually going to hedge, I wouldn't even take the plus money with the Bucks to win outright. I would just take the points and just kind of hope that it's a game between 1 through 4. I do think that the Thunder are like destined to win this thing, and it could be like last game as well, where there was a close game and then the Thunder just blow it open in the fourth quarter. Like, this team is literally on some other stuff. They definitely have the much better coaching edge, but I'm not really one to hedge out. But I do kind of lean to the points in this one for the simple fact that the Bucks have been there. They're older, more mature team. They've won a championship. Damian Lillard hasn't. And it's also another thing. I'm sure he wants some type of, it's like Chris Paul. When you get to a championship, you want to win some type of championship, but you don't have that ring, man. So I'm sure Dame is really going to be hyped for this one as well. But Giannis, Chris Middleton, they have the big game experience. We can't forget that the Thunder are a young team. I mean, they're a great team and much better coach. But I do have to throw that out, that there are some spots to where the Bucks do have an advantage as far as an experience in a huge game in this particular game. But I mean, the Thunder are a better team, and I really think whoever they matched up, even if it was the Knicks, I think the Thunder are just destined to win this year's NBA Cup, and SGA is destined to win the MVP here. But I'd lean Bucks, but I'm staying off the side here. I am.
You lean Bucks.
I lean Bucks plus the 5. This is one thing that I'll give the listeners for long term. When there's only one game on, use more times than not. I'd say about 65, 70% of the time, the underdog covers. Like, this is football, this is NBA. Those are the only thing that I really cover. But when there's only one game, everyone is looking towards the favorite most of the time. And more times than not, the underdog comes through. But it may not happen in this game, but that's just something for future reference. When there's one game on, take a really nice look at the underdog.
And we call those island games over here at Action. Sean, give me your lean on the side for this game, even though you don't have a play on it.
Yeah, Oklahoma City Thunder. They're flat out a nuisance. I think this is a bad matchup for everyone outside of Giannis. Yeah. If we're talking about everybody else on the team for the Milwaukee Bucks, especially when we talk about backcourt, which we'll get to here in the cap, I just think it's a bad matchup overall. They're going to have to keep up with young guys that love to run around and play D and cause havoc, and that's just not something that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to want to deal with. We'll get into some numbers on the Oklahoma City Thunder when they're coming off multiple days rest as well. There's no back-to-back situations or none of that. They're going to come in nice and rested. The Las Vegas element kind of would be interesting. Maybe I can call up Jay, see if he got any of the spies out there in Vegas that could give us some intel on where anybody was at. But we could get to that later. But I think overall, Giannis could have a massive game that kind of swings it in the Milwaukee Bucks direction. But I think overall, this is a bad matchup for Dame Lillard. This is a bad matchup for that backcourt. And the Thunder are just overall playing unbelievable defense. And then when shit gets really tight for them, and I think one of the things that Jay was alluding to but didn't really say was, if this shit gets tight, more experienced Milwaukee Bucks, big-time superstars, Dame-time Dame Lillard, we always are going to rely on and have faith in to come down and hit big shots. And the Thunder team is still growing together. They're still an overall younger squad. I think that maybe they graduated from that coming off of that Dallas Mavs series last year. We'll find out if this ends up being a tight game coming down the stretch. But I think that's what Jay was alluding to, that, look, these are some veteran superstars they have on Milwaukee, and the game is tight. It could go either way. But they got this guy, SGA, that anytime they need something offensively, they can go to him, and he has been coming through time and time again. I lean Thunder. I think defensively they are going to be a nightmare for Milwaukee.
You can unnerve the Thunder by speeding them up. They want to play at their pace. They're not the fastest team in the league. They're 10th in offensive possession length over dunks and threes, 10th in overall pace. But if you speed them up, they get a little frenetic and they get a little bit out of control. That's where that youth starts to show up. That's not the Bucks. Like, the Bucks don't play aggressive pressure on you. They don't speed you up. If anything, they play slower. They're 17th. It's one of the reasons I like the under. They're 17th in offensive possession length. They take a long time. And so this Milwaukee team is older, but they're also slower in that regard. So I don't like that matchup. You mentioned Giannis. I'm going to be looking at Giannis 30+ as part of a same-game parlay that I'm going to put over at Parlay Express. The Thunder are 30th in transition foul rate. So when Giannis gets out in transition, like, he always picks up fouls because you have to foul him or he's going to dunk it. They'll do that even more. Like, they are just more prone to fouling when they're out in transition. So I think Giannis is going to have a fairly big game. Now, OKC is the number one pick and roll defense. Like, they're absolutely phenomenal. And we'll come back around to how Sean feels about Dame in this situation in a second. When I look at kind of the matchup perspective, I love the under the more I looked at it. That really is kind of my strongest play. On the side, I will say this. If you wake up, we're recording this Monday night. If you wake up on Tuesday and this has gone to 6, that's a walk away. 5.5 is like, I'm probably playing less than a unit on 5.5. I've already gotten it at 5. I'm comfortable there. 5.5 is where I start to be like probably maybe a half to a quarter unit there. At 6, it's a straight walk away. I've got it 5.7, and that's a full 2 possessions. And I don't want to go over. I don't want to touch the 2 possession rail here. I'm comfortable with it being more than 1, but I do not want it to be more. I do not want it to touch 6 here. And like Matt, what are the odds of it being 6 straight? I get it. It's just I'm telling you, when you bet every single day in the NBA, that half point matters a lot to you. I don't want it at 6. The total, on the other hand, not to say that I'm gonna like it at any number. If like the under gets hammered back down tomorrow and you hit 212, okay, pass. You've already like you're chasing too much steam at that point. But this looks like it's going the other way. I think in part because they think that both teams are going to try and get out and run in transition and try and score that way. These two teams are not terrible in transition defensively. They're not good. The Bucks aren't. The Thunder are. Like they foul, but they also defend at a very high level.
Really quick, Matt,
yeah,
on the nugget and the transition, and you know how you frustrate Giannis Antetokounmpo? Instead of giving him dunks and layups, make him knock down free throws over and over and over again. Anytime he has an easy look, put him on the line. And if I didn't even know that. That's a great nugget on the transition. If they're going to put Giannis on the line all night long, we've seen stretches of Giannis where he shoots over a 5-6 game span, 55% from the line. I think this month he's right around like 62 or 63% from the line. So if they're going to every time Giannis feels like he's lathering up and getting going, they're sending him to the line. I actually love that for the under, and I love that for the Thunder.
Yeah, I kind of disagree.
Okay.
That means they're getting. So if they get into foul trouble, now that means whoever's getting fouled is going to the free throw line. Remember, once you're over that foul limit, any little touch foul, it could be on the other end of the court. That little foul is going to get you over a limit. So if they are going to foul, there's some reason. So first thing,
I'm talking about Giannis specifically, though. Like they don't.
I'm talking about the full game over. I'm talking about if we're talking about the total, I think they could still help out the over because. They're stopping the game, right? And then, like I say, there's more team fouls. So now any other knick-knack call, they're going to the free throw line. We know Dame Middleton, they're going to make their free throws. So obviously that's stopping Giannis, but it's also now you can't play that super tight defense because any little call, it could be a screen, moving screen. It could be like away from the ball foul. They're going to the free throw line, which means more points.
I just don't see a path to victory for Milwaukee without Giannis going crazy. And if he's frustrated and every time he tries to do something, he's got to go to the line and he's not knocking them down, which happens pretty frequently, I think it can get really spooky for Milwaukee.
I hear on the total, Jay. I think my counter would just be more free throws. One, you got some guys on there that can miss, and two, that does mean that they're taking the basket out, which means a slower pace again. Right, it's not OKC generating points off of steals, which is how they get their pace up, is they generate so many steals. We mentioned off the top of the show that we're coming to you for our Tommy John home studios. The holidays are here. Christmas is just over a week away. If you procrastinated your holiday shopping, we've got you covered. There's still time to shoot your shot with Tommy John and be the GOAT, the greatest gifter of all time. But that shot clock's ticking. Go to TommyJohn.com/buckets right now for your last minute holiday gifts. Again, that shot clock is ticking. We know everyone loves a buzzer beater. So to get 40% off just in time, only at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 40% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. Get your loved ones the gift of comfort with Tommy John's. All right, let's go to Jay's prop here. You like Chris Middleton over 8.5.
Yeah, with this big game, I kind of wanted to target some unders. I was looking at that Dame, slightly looked at Giannis. I was like, no way, because if a couple quick fouls on Hartenstein and like, how are they going to stop Giannis here? Giannis probably goes over his points, goes for 35. He's going to go crazy this game. It's one thing I would be scared for me liking OKC to win the whole thing. But let's go with Middleton. 4th game back coming from injury. Now, with me, Matt, and Sean, I don't have a ton of numbers saying, he's hit this 90% hit rate, all this. I don't care. It's just straight basketball mind, straight usage rate. Middleton might even get announced in the starting lineup, and you will see this line probably move to double digits. I think it's very possible. They're going to need Middleton in this game. They're going to need his championship style experience. They're going to need that veteran experience in this game because Dame's probably going to be in the chamber. Like, they're probably going to lock Dame up in this one. You can't lock Giannis up, but remember, they have a third guy. They have a third superstar, and that's Chris Middleton. Whether he's coming off the bench, whether he's playing 25 minutes, still on a little minutes restriction, I expect him to draw fouls. I expect him to hit a couple threes. Middleton is getting at least 10 points in this game. 8.5 is just way too low. They will need his veteran experience, his ball handling in this game. And like I say, I mean, they have a bunch of young guys, but they're mainly defenders. Giannis, Dame, and Middleton will be the three that are scoring the majority of the points. Middleton might go for 20. Don't be surprised if Dame is held under his 22, you better believe Middleton has at least 15, 20 points, even if they lose this game. I really like 8.5. I'll probably be playing some alt numbers for Middleton's game. But yeah, over 8.5 at plus money. I think the usage will be there. And I would not, with his fourth game back off the injury, wouldn't be a bit surprised if they inserted him into the starting lineup in this game.
So versus OKC in his last 4 games, which obviously those are not going to be the minutes restrictions. He's only played 4 times since 2021 versus OKC because he's been so banged up. 16, 25, 11 last March, which seems notable, and 18. I will say,
Jay,
I don't. Go ahead.
He's drawing some fouls here.
This is what I'll say, Jay. You have when we talk hoops, you have one of the best hoop eyes and minds when we're talking about just pure basketball. I love chatting with you, and when we go through things. When we're talking about the eye test, Chris Middleton is getting an F since coming back from injury. He looks bad. So I'm shocked that you just watching him play, and then we're talking about going up against OKC on the defensive side, that you would look this way. It is a low number, but when we're talking about just watching him go up and down the court, possession to possession, he just doesn't look very good. That's the only reason I couldn't back the spot. They're definitely going to need all hands on deck, and Middleton is one of their guys. He's just looked really, really bad. Like if you go back and watch that Orlando game, that 20 minutes he played against them, to me, it's going to look something similar to that against OKC. Championship game for the cup, elevated. We'll see, but man, he's just looked really bad.
I think drawing fouls alone, he's going to get there. And there's going to be a ton of guys. Remember, Dame and Giannis pick and roll has been feeding families. Who's the guy that they're going to forget about and kind of be that third option is like, okay, they're going to be so focused on shutting down Giannis and Dame, it's going to be open for some other guys, in my opinion.
I don't agree because that's not how OKC plays. Like they don't send help. Like that's one of the things that they're so good at.
They're going to build a wall to try and stop Giannis. I can almost guarantee you.
But they can build a wall one-on-one. That's how good their perimeter defenders are.
I don't think so.
Their primary
defenders,
against
Giannis.
Okay, their primary defenders are Chris's last year in their matchup. They gave him Dort the most, and then SGA, who leads the league in steals, or is top 5 in steals behind I think Dyson, and then Jalen. It's a lot of athleticism. But here's the thing though. Sean is like, I don't hate the play because this is like, if he plays more in this game because it's $500,000, then this cruises over just by sheer volume. Like, I don't like the play from a basketball perspective because this is the best fucking wing defense team since a while. Like,
yeah,
the way back machine. These guys are absolute dogs.
That's a
like.
fact.
And they can search for whatever the matchup is. It's like, oh, hey, they had to put Lou Dort on Giannis. Here comes Casey Wallace. Oh, Casey Wallace is too small. Here comes Alex Caruso, who's too small but is a nightmare. Like, they just have so many guys that they can throw on him. But this is literally like he hits 3 threes in this. Like, he hits 2 threes.
And gets to the line a couple times, Gets
to the line twice, and we're done, and we're here.
Yeah.
So... Like I can't.
He took 6 free throws in that first game back from Boston. Jay was talking about that, him getting to the line. If he can get to the line, he should fly over this number, and I hope he does.
That's the key to it, in my opinion. Him getting to the line for sure.
You're counting a lot on OKC getting in foul trouble, which like their foul rate's not good. But this, from my recollection, they don't get foul calls, which by the way they're very pissed about, and are letting everybody know how mad they are that they have been getting absolutely 0 foul calls this season. Let's see, an opponent free throw rate. Yeah, they're 3rd worst. So that gets you home there. So that's kind of the secret is like just the Bucks shoot a lot of free throws, and then Jay's lean of the Bucks and mid over gets home. Sean, why do you like Dame under 22?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked a lot about OKC's defense, but this is just a different group, and this was an easy one for me. I think one thing that's underrated in betting when you pick spots and actually decide to print the slip is how you will live with the result either way. So if you feel comfortable, really comfortable with the spot, you're almost watching it as like you shrug, you hit, you shrug your shoulders because like, yeah, I told you, you brick, and it's like, I mean, I thought that was a really good spot, so you shrug and you go to the next one. That's how I feel about this Dame Lillard spot here, under 22.5 points. It was an easy one for me to pick off and go through. In the last week, I've watched the Thunder strap up the best guard primary ball handlers on actual planet Earth. Luka Doncic was 5 of 15 last week, 2 of 8 from deep, 16 points in 40 minutes. Kyrie had a solid game, was 7 of 14, 3 of 5 from deep, 17 points in 40 minutes. But in the other 8 games that Kyrie has played 39 plus minutes or more, he's averaging 28.6 points per game. Fred VanVleet, 3 of 15, 1 of 11 from deep, 8 points in 42 minutes. Jalen Green, 5 of 14, 1 from 8 from 3, 12 points in 34 minutes. You get my drift. And by the way, the Thunder don't discriminate. They've been doing this to everyone in the entire NBA. Number 1 in the NBA in points allowed to point guards at 20.7. They're like 4th in points allowed to the 2. And then when we talk about the Thunder off of 2 days rest, which is exactly where we're going to be here with them having Sunday off and then Monday off, championship Tuesday. Small sample size. On 1 day rest, they played 16 times on 1 day rest. The defensive rating is 104. They've only played 2 games on 2 days rest, but the defensive rating goes to 98.5. So they're rested. They're coming in. And then they're playing a team that is going to need 2 guys to have extremely good games to win. Dame played well against Atlanta. I just don't. This is just a bad matchup for Dame Lillard, and I don't see him going off for 24, 25 points in this game. I like the Thunder to win. I would lay the 5 if I was picking a side. That's where I lean. And this is just a really tough matchup for Dame Lillard to go crazy in. They've shown it time in, time out, night in, night out. It is extremely difficult to score on these guys when you're a primary ball handler. I don't see why it's any different from Dame Lillard with the Thunder coming off 2 full days rest. Yeah, so kick it to Middleton all night, matter of fact. Let Middleton go score 16, 17. Then Dame can score 15, and then everybody goes home happy. But yes, that's where I'm at. Dame Lillard under 22.5. Giannis, I could see having a big night. I just couldn't – I don't see a way – unless Dame is just pulling up from 30 and he goes crazy. I guess that's how it happens. But in a game where everyone I've talked to, Matt included, likes the under – the under's already low, and now you're up against the best perimeter defensive team in the NBA that can just throw in tons of guys at you and make things extremely difficult. Yeah, I got to go under for Dame Lillard, under 22.5, and I'll live with the result, cash or not. But I do like the spot.
So I think from the pick and roll perspective, they're going to switch everything that's guard, and on the center play, they're either going to switch it or they're going to blitz it. One of the things with OKC is that they've got the ability to play any type of style that they need to. There's very few teams that can actually pick and choose how they want to do this. There's also very few teams in the league that match up hunt on the offensive end the way that they do. And because like in the regular season, it's mostly just run your stuff. Like just run this screen with this guy and we'll do this. OKC's not like that. Like Shea goes and finds the weakest defender and he goes at him every single time. So Dame might get in foul trouble from the presence of having to guard SGA. If there's a tight whistle, like that's one way this goes over is because there's a tight whistle. SGA is going to go to the line 15 times. Mid's going to go to the line 7 times. Jan's going to go to the line fucking 30 times. And this goes over. I don't think that they will because I think that there's been kind of a precedent set of these games are allowed to be a little bit more physical. And so I'm there. He's mentioned the rest thing. My only counter on that is you got a team of sub 25-year-olds who make 30 million or 20 million a year in Las Vegas for 2 days. I'm not worried about Brooke Lopez. Brooke Lopez is going home.
Yeah, that's true.
And reading a good comic book.
He's asleep right now.
Yeah, like
he's asleep right now.
I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about Chris Middleton. I'm not worried about Dame. Dame's Dame's over 30 and has kids. Like, I'm not worried. But
Yeah.
Shea and Case, like, so we'll see. I think it'll be kind of, but I also think that OKC's so professional, there won't be much. They won't screw around and they'll be ready to go here.
They'll party afterwards, though, for sure.
Oh yeah. We'll want to fade them because, by the way, they have a back-to-back Thursday, Friday coming off the game.
Whoever wins, fade them.
Yeah. I mentioned
one more thing too.
Yeah, go ahead.
52% of Dame's offense is from the pull-up.
Yep.
So they're not like, it's not like he's coming off of pin downs, catching and shooting. Like, that's almost plays into Oklahoma City's hand as well. You're going to face up.
It's what they absolutely kill.
You're going to face up these guys and just pull up in their face? They would love to see that all night long. They don't have to battle through traffic and do all that stuff. You're going to just come down, catch, and go to work. I mean, like I said, Dame can absolutely go crazy, but that's playing right into Oklahoma City's hand. I don't see a way for Dame to have a massive game unless he just completely blacks out and shoots from deep and they continue to move on.
Listen to this stat. OKC when defending jump shots off the dribble this season via Synergy Sports, they allow 32% shooting from the field, a 39.6 EFG, including 27% on 3-point shots.
Nightmare.
The gap between them and second place Pelicans is wide. So Dame should have a pretty bad game here. I mentioned the Hartenstein prop under on 3.5 assists. This is pretty basic about what Hartenstein does versus how the Bucks play defense. The Bucks will play up a little bit more. Sometimes they'll switch a little bit more. They're still a drop team. Like, that was the big problem that they had with Adrian Griffin, is Griffin wanted them to be more flexible. And Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez were like, we cannot do this. We've been effective. We want a title play and drop. Can we just do what we're good at? If we execute it correctly, we can win. So they fire Griffin. Doc comes in. Doc's like, yeah, no, let's go back to drop. That's the best way to use you guys. So that's not going to be effective versus Shea. Shea's going to go nuts. Because if you give Shea Gilgeous-Alexander that much room, the big problem for him is not the floater, because that's a common way to kind of combat that, is Shea's really good about coming off that pick and then putting the defender in jail and drawing a foul on him. So whether it's Dame or Gary Trent Jr. or whoever, they're going to be on his hip and then he's going to draw fouls on them. But for Hartenstein, because he doesn't pop to 3, that's your best way to counter it. That's why Cat will go nuts versus the Bucks. Hartenstein wants to short roll, get the pass, and then either make a play at the rim or pass it preferably to the corner. He's a really good passer, but he has to have space to do that. Think about it on the court. If Brook Lopez is just taking 2 steps back and standing in the middle of the lane, there's not room for Isaiah to make those plays. They're not going to let him get that kind of space. It's too truncated. Isaiah will get some lobs by going around Brook and getting to the rim. Like, I wouldn't mind if you want to play Isaiah over scoring under assists, but Hartenstein, he might get this if it's like he throws a really good outlet pass and then like there's 2 wide open, screw ups from the Bucks defensively. He can, like, this can go over. There's ways this can lose. But from a schematic standpoint, I want the under on 3.5 assists for Isaiah Hartenstein in this game. Okay. I'm betting Thunder. Sean leans Thunder. Jay leans Bucks, but is not betting it. Likes Chris Middleton over 8.5 points. Sean Little under 22 for Dame. Jay, do you lean towards the over? Is that right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to make a clarification. I'd lean to the over even more than the Bucks.
Okay. Well, fuck you. So that's how that goes. We'll see who comes out ahead, and we'll be back to wrap it all up afterwards. We're gonna take Tuesday night off. No games on Wednesday, so we'll come back on Wednesday night and get you set for the Thursday slate. Hope you guys enjoy the cup. Make sure to follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Action Network. Give us a like and subscribe. Let me know that you subscribe to Buckets in the comments, or hit me up on Twitter at HP Basketball. Also on Blue Sky. Bet stream on Thursday night. In case you missed Thursday's show, we got Bet stream on Thursday night. Me and Sean Little will be on with you for that game. Make sure to check out NBA Bet for that. Go to Jay's YouTube channel. Jay Money is Money. And we'll see you guys again next time. Until then, let's get buckets.